Tommy Rex, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now, here's your host.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle, and I am excited to be talking with Mr. Red Peters, and we're going to get in the Christmas spirit here and spend some Christmas cheer or gas and stuff of such. But yeah, I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
I am too, Billy.
Good to have you on, and wow, what a career you've had. And usually when I have people on for the first time, I like to get a little bit of a background anyway. So when you were Little Red, do you remember what you originally wanted to be when you grew up?
Well, when I was really young, I wasn't sure, but as time went on, I grew up in Quincy, Massachusetts, and right on the Quincy Bay. And me and my friends would go down by the water and the tributaries and see the fish coming up, to spawn in the spring. And I had a microscope. My dad bought me a microscope, and I'd look at the microscopic organisms under the microscope, and I thought I was really headed that way to become like a marine biologist or something. But when I got in high school, I fell in love with art. I had a pretty progressive art program at my high school at the time, and so I was involved with the arts. But at about that same time, believe it or not, I was thinking of becoming a priest. I went to Pinocchio school for 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. And I went into Boston on Arch Street and visited with the Franciscan fathers there. And things were going along pretty good. And then I discovered girls. So that kind of...
Yeah, they'll definitely hijack any priesthood ideas.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I ended up going to art school, Massachusetts College of Art, and got involved in the arts, and then met a bunch of musicians, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Now, I was looking into your bio and your past, and I saw that you were a product of Catholic schools, and that you had considered priesthood. I didn't go to Catholic school, but I was raised Catholic. I did the whole altar boy
me too.
thing and all that, but I don't know if that adds to my twisted sense of humor as I grew up as well. But what was it? When you were originally going to school, what originally planted the seed that you wanted to pursue priesthood before the girls?
I was just sort of a benevolent kid, and I was always trying to be good. But as my mother once said, that I was a sneak. So behind it all, I guess I was going bad. In the background, I was going bad. I remember being in like the 8th grade or whatever, and my friend Bobby Hookway we were looking in the history books and would write our own captions under the historical photographs or engravings, and so I was sort of a wise ass, even then, and it only got worse as I got older.
and then like you were saying, you were like you were looking at going into the priesthood, and then this was and then girls got in the picture,
Right.
and then you're like, okay, well, I don't know if girls ain't down with the priest as much, but maybe they'll be down with the musician or whatever. What kind of
Oh
led
yeah.
you to the musical world?
Well, when I was in art school, art college, I started hanging out with these guys who were musicians, and they had bands growing up, and one fellow was in marching band at school, and we used to jam. This was around the hippie days, Billy. Um, like 1968, 1969. So I fell into the whole like hippie movement and, live the free love lifestyle. And, I formed a band called GNP, Gross National Productions. It was sort of like a comedy theater group, musical group. And we did all sorts of music, big band, jazz, country western, rock, blues. It was a really fun group, and we traveled all around. We opened for Tommy James and the Shondells and Sha Na Na, and probably our biggest gig was with Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention in 1971, I think. And we were doing pretty good, but we had management issues and the band broke up. So that left me with, okay, what am I going to do now?
I saw that that you had that time out with Frank Zappa. What was that experience like touring with him?
Well, I didn't tour with him, but we opened for him a couple of times. And it was around the time when Fluorescent Beach and Eddie were the singers from the Turtles. And it was so exciting for us to be on the big stage with him. And we had a couple of really excellent shows. And we got to know the different band members and that sort of thing. I never met Frank himself, but that took us on to a lot of other better gigs. We played in New York City at the Cafe A Go Go and the Gaslight. And, we did a lot of shows, but like I said, unfortunately, the band kind of shit the bed and management. We ended up suing our management, and it was just a horrible situation. But I'll tell you, it was so much fun, and we had a great time, in our youth. I was probably 21, 22 years old, and we had such a great time.
And you guys put out the album, P-Flaps and Low Blows?
Yeah, on Metro Media Records. And, when I look back on it now, the actual record, I wished it was produced better, but it was produced by George Shadow Morton, whose claim to fame was he wrote Leader of the Pack, and he was a big-time producer at the time. Unfortunately, he was also an extreme alcoholic. So by after a couple of few hours, the recording sessions we recorded in Hempstead, Long Island at Ultrasonic Studios, he'd be pretty wasted after a couple of few hours. So his buddy, John Lindy, took over, and, the album came out. It played, we played all around the country. We had a couple of not hits, but semi-hits. We got a lot of airplay. But again, since the band broke up, it was short-lived.
What was the music scene like during that time frame, like in the Boston area?
Oh my God, it was fantastic. At the time, the city of Boston put on these shows on Boston Common. Uh, the Beach Boys came in. Well, just a lot of big name acts at the time. Plus, it was like the birth of all the 60s, or I should say the 70s music boom, classic rockers and that sort of thing. There was a place where we would go and see shows, the Boston Tea Party. And I saw The Who there. I saw the Bonzo Dog Band. I saw Mountain like 3 or 4 times. I saw Janis Joplin. It was just a wonderful scene, and it was so exciting. And I mean, I didn't know any better. I never had any training in music or music business, but geez, we had such a great time, and there was so much great music around, and there were plenty of girls too. So,
Yeah, couldn't have done all that in the convent or the priesthood, right? Honestly.
no, I couldn't have.
So, yeah. And then, so like you said, you were always kind of a wise ass, with writing in the history books and stuff like that, and artsy and got into music, but comedy's also been like, something that you've been into. Where, after the band, like when did you start, or had the band always kind of included like a little comedic?
Oh yeah, we used to do skits on stage and that sort of thing. Foolish little ideas we did, and even some of the songs were pretty funny. But after that, I wrote a show with one of the bandmates, Tom Dempsey, who also went under the name Howie Ritz after he was stalked by this woman for a couple of years. But we wrote this show called Rock Fights, and it was again like a theater production, lots of skits, lots of songs, and we got panned brutally. No one really. I mean, the critics tore us to shreds. Excuse me. They tore us to shreds, but that really didn't stop us.
And that was in the Boston area. That was something.
Yes, it was. Okay. So, they claimed no one could sing, no one could dance, nothing was funny, everything was disturbing. All the comedy was over the top, and but again, it was a learning experience. And after that, I started a music company called Hanson Brothers Music Service, and we would create music for like industry, corporations, jingles, and that sort of thing. But at or about the same time, my friend who I grew up with, Chance Langton, a comedian, him and I put together the comedy cruise in Boston Harbor, and we'd go out for 3-hour cruises, and we'd have 3 comedians, and they would play on 2 decks. They'd play on the lower deck first, do their show, like a 20-minute, half-hour show, and then go up to the upper deck and start the show up there. And another comedian would come on the lower deck. And I had some of the greatest comedians of the 80s. This was during the 80s. And Jonathan Katz, Brian Kiley, who was a big writer for Conan, Billy Martin, who was a head writer for Bill Maher. Just lots of great comedians came through. John Panette, Jonathan Katz, who had an animated series on TV for a while. But they were all great. They were all just starting out. And I had way too much fun on that one, on during that period. Just they were the craziest. I mean, it was heavy drinking and craziness and dancing and foolishness. But I survived, and you know, so far so good.
Yeah. Now, and then I, I was reading that you mixing your musical talent, like you said, you kind of were doing that with the Gross National Productions band, but you started doing like comedy albums as well. Or like, are you familiar like with Richard Cheese? Do you
Oh yeah,
yeah. So were you like, would you say you guys were kind of like an inspiration for like albums like Richard, or groups like Richard Cheese, or even Steel Panther?
Yeah, Steel Panther. Well, I eventually got a job with Howard Stern on the Howard channels on Sirius XM. I used to play Steel Panther on my show. It was the Red Peters Comedy Music Hour. But Richard Cheese sort of did knockoffs of popular songs and turned them into like a lounge type act. All my songs, well, let's start at the beginning. Like I say, I was writing music for industry. I think we were working on a project for Converse shoes, and I had this idea in my mind. What are the language restrictions on your show, Billy?
It's an adult show. You can go.
Okay, all right. Well, in 1984, we were working on a project for Converse, and I had this song in my head. I had this just like a couple of lines, and my co-writer and best friend and producer Eddie Grenga and I were, working on the song for the client, and it's a serious thing, trying to get things just right and satisfy these, big companies. So, but I had this idea in my head, and I had the phrase, and I had a melody too for "Blow Me, You Hardly Even Know Me." So I had just that much. So Eddie and I began putting that song together, and I swear it took like 10 minutes to write that song. And we even recorded a little scratch track, which was very similar to how the final big production of the song came out. As a matter of fact, you can hear the scratch track at redpeters.com that we did that day. And that night we took the cassette to like a industry party, and we played it, and they just kept playing it over and over again, and we knew we had a hit on our hands. So it was right from the beginning. We were stretching the envelope a little bit. But
I would love to have heard it at a family party too, though. That would have been pretty good.
Oh yeah, no, it's played everywhere. I've known DJs who've played the instrumental like at weddings and stuff, and the people are out there dancing to it. They of course didn't know what it was, but yeah, it used to be able to play on the radio. Believe it or not, Billy. Around the country, they played "Blow Me" quite a bit, but then at some point the FCC started
losing their sense of humor.
Yeah. So that one went to the jukeboxes. Back then, there were 45s. We sold, more than 100,000 45s, and it played in all the jukeboxes. And that's probably one of my more classic songs. After that, I think around in the around 1990, I wrote "How's Your Hole" Family. You familiar with that tune?
I was checking that one out too. And then what was it the name of the album, or was that a single too?
That was a single. That was a single. So now we had Blow Me and How's Your Whole Family. And that became pretty popular. It led to a record deal. And we recorded our first album, Red Peters' album. I Laughed, I Cried, I Fudged My Undies. And that one included, quite a few hits. Of course, Blow Me and How's Your Whole Family, but also The Ballad of a Dog Named Staines. I don't know if you've heard that one.
That was one of Howard Stern's favorites, right?
Yeah. One day I was driving, I dropped my daughter off at daycare, and I was driving into my studio in Boston, and I was listening to Stern on the radio, and all of a sudden he started singing How's Your Whole Family? And, I pulled off the side of the road. This was before cell phones. Yeah, it was before cell phones. So I had to go to a phone booth.
Yeah.
And I called my manager and I said, Stern singing How's Your Whole Family? Well, the next day I was on his show doing a phoner, and I got him somehow I was on for a while, and which was unusual because he's saying, okay, Red, I'll see you later. And I go, hey, have you heard this one yet? I kept naming songs on the album, and he'd play a little bit of each. And, before long I was on his show live, and even he used to film the guests at that time. And I was eventually on his short-lived Saturday Night Live program on CBS, singing Dog Named Staines. So it was very exciting. And, I was on the way up. And
that started your guys' relationship for when he got his own Sirius station. You were able to get your show on there then, huh?
Yeah. So he put out a word. He said, if anyone has an idea for a program, to submit the ideas. So my good friend, one of my studio mates, Kukalari, said, oh, Red, you should submit an idea. So I submitted a one sheet, and I had always, even since I was a kid, I was fascinated with radio, I'll have to say. And when I was with GMP, I was thinking, what am I going to do now after after the band shit the bed? So I was thinking about going into radio, but I'd have to start like up in Bangor, Maine, or something like that. You know what I mean? And from a small studio and work my way up. Well, I submitted an idea to him, and like a few days later, he gave me the green light and to produce my own show. The only problem is that I had no radio experience whatsoever, and I had to learn quick. So anyway, it turned out okay. Coop taught me Pro Tools, and I eventually was able to produce the show on my own. But I would interview creators or songwriters of other fucked up songs, and they would, I would get hundreds of submissions, and most of them sucked. And, I would say more than half were really nasty. I mean, my songs, I admit, are fucked up, but I try not to get too explicit as far as nastiness,
Yeah, leave it a little to the imagination, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But some of these were like so rude that there was no way I was going to play them. Plus the quality of the songs really blew. They were unlistenable. But every once in a while, I'd get a good one. So I'd interview that person, see what what was behind their whole story, and play their song. And so I did like an interview portion, but then the rest of the show I'd play just fucked up songs that people sent in or that I found on the internet. The internet was just beginning at that time, so I would search around and find songs, and it was pretty successful. I worked there for 8 years, produced 75 1-hour special shows, special programs. So it was it was quite a learning experience for me. And although I was under an unbelievable amount of pressure at first because I had no idea what I was doing, I eventually mastered Pro Tools, and the show went on, and I enjoyed, a lot of success with it.
Nice. Now, I read too that at one point you even got to collab with Todd Rundgren. How did all that come together?
Well, a bunch of fans on Facebook, I think, started writing to me and they were saying, "Hey, Red, Todd Rundgren's singing your song in his concerts." So I got on the internet and looked around. Sure enough, he was singing "Blow Me" at a lot of his shows, big shows in New York City and Cleveland. As a matter of fact, there's one video at a big venue there that he did. He sang "Blow Me," and he was singing it in his shows for like a year or two. So I figured, what the heck? I would contact him and see if he wanted to sing a duet with me. Now, I don't know if he felt like he owed me because he was singing my song for so long and not giving me credit, or he really liked me or whatever. I'm not sure. But anyway, we decided we'd sing a duet together. And I met him at a gig in Massachusetts, in New Bedford, this whaling town, fish town. It was one of the biggest fish ports in America at one point. And it still is, as a matter of fact. I don't know if it's the biggest, but it's still a fishing port today. As a matter of fact, my producer just moved there. And my daughter also has a house there. But so I went to a concert with him. I met him, and we decided we'd sing a duet. So my producer, Eddie Granger, came up with an arrangement, big band arrangement, and I recorded my vocals here in New England, and he recorded his vocals in Hawaii, where he lives. He lives on one of the islands there. And so he would send us his part, and we plugged it in, and we came out with a single, a duet of "Blow Me," and again, that was quite an ordeal, but it came out great. And again, listeners can hear it either on streaming, Spotify, or at redpeters.com. You can hear my duet with Todd Rundgren.
Nice. Now, as we were alluding to at the beginning when we were talking, getting everybody in the holiday Christmas spirit, you've always kind of had a thing for most artists are just like, I don't want to have to do a Christmas song. I don't want to jump into that. But you seem to always have had the Christmas spirit. What led you to doing Christmas comedy music?
Well, I had an idea. I had the phrase, holy shit, it's Christmas. So, I attempted writing it with one fellow. It didn't really work out that great. But Eddie was working with Gino Vanelli in Hollywood, out in California, Los Angeles. And he came back to Massachusetts, and we started working on more Red Peters songs. We got a record deal, so we took the phrase "Holy shit, it's Christmas" and turned it into like a Chipmunks. I forget the guy's name, David something, and the Chipmunks. And he would sing Christmas songs with the Chipmunks. So we decided it was going to be Red Peters and the New Christie Hamsters singing "Holy Shit, It's Christmas."
Nice.
And so we developed a story, and a lot of shenanigans going on with the hamsters. They got drunk and they were busting my balls, and it turned out to be a very funny song. It's still pretty popular around Christmas time. Holy shit, it's Christmas. You should your listeners should check it out. It's your viewers should check it out. It's a pretty funny tune. A lot of very positive Christmas song, but goofy and ridiculous. And that led to, I had another phrase, "You ain't getting shit for Christmas."
Yeah, that was one of my favorites right there.
Yeah. That one really hit a nerve for some reason. Like if you go on YouTube and check out that tune and look at the comments, there's so many comments and people fighting amongst one another. I didn't get shit for Christmas this year, and no one's getting Chris. It was just, it became very popular, and it's a heartwarming story about these elderly parents invited they were very excited about Christmas, and they decorated the house, and they were buying gifts since August. And they were waiting for the kids to show up, and both kids banged in. They didn't show up for Christmas. One went to Hawaii, and the other one went to Hilton Head or something like that. So the parents, who were both off the sauce at that time, the mother, you hear the popping of the wine jug, and they were pissed off at the kids really bad. So the thing was, "You ain't getting shit for Christmas." And even the mother shoots up the place, like you hear machine guns and everything else. Again, another ridiculous tune, but that one struck a nerve. So I'm not afraid of writing Christmas songs,
Yeah, I think one of my favorite ones, and it's like the gift that definitely keeps on giving, the Christmas gift.
Oh yeah, that was
Well,
another one.
yeah.
Margaret Cho, the comedian Margaret Cho, wrote me an email. I forget how it came about, but she was saying how much she enjoyed my show on Sirius, and she liked a song that I had just released at that time, which is definitely one of my favorites. It's a great tune in my estimation. "When I Jerk Off, I Think of You." And she really got off on that tune. And so I said, "Hey, you want to sing a duet?" She says, "Yeah." So I started searching around for songs to sing. I had a few uh, in process that I was writing, but they weren't completed, and I didn't think they were going to be ready so I had to strike while the iron was hot.
Yeah.
So I used to play this song on the Red Peters Comedy Music Hour by, oh shit, what's the guy's name? Um, he went by the name Durwood Douche or Douche or something like that. He had a song called The Christmas Gift, or Just Another Christmas Blowjob. So I said, hey, you want to do a duet of this song? And I got permission. She said yes. And I got permission from the family because the man who recorded it originally had passed away. He was, oh shit, what was his name? Oh, um, Dick Shreve. Dick Shreve. He was the piano player for Andy Williams,
Oh,
and
nice.
toured the world with him. And so we came up with a new arrangement.
Song,
And
right?
Margaret was on tour, and she was coming through Boston. So we set up a recording date, at a big studio in Boston. And she came in and a few hours recorded our parts. And then that came out. I'm not sure what year, but that's another beauty that I'm sure your viewers would enjoy. It's, it is sort of R-rated because it talks about blowjobs, but they're a lot of my songs are risque.
Yeah,
Kind
and
of
Margaret
risque.
sounds like a keeper when you hear that song. So
Yeah. I mean, any song that's you're singing about blowjobs, I guess is a little,
yeah, it's a gift that gives all year round.
Yeah, it sure does.
And
So,
what other way you're going to get a white Christmas sometimes,
yeah. Billy, I'm ashamed of you, really. No, that's nasty. I'm only kidding.
But, bringing us to current day. I know for myself, especially as I get older, and I love to munch on them Christmas snacks wherever I'm at. Those Christmas carbs, the holiday
Oh,
parties, stuff like that. They end up eventually talking back to us.
yeah.
Which brings us to your latest single, the fart that ruined Christmas. Get into the inspiration for that one.
Yeah. So I'd say a couple of years ago, well, even longer than that, I had the phrase "the fart that ruined Christmas," and I never did anything until this year. And I said, I'm definitely going to record this year. I'm going to develop the idea. But all I had was the phrase, "the fart that ruined Christmas." So I got busy. I knew at least I could start recording farts. So I carried around a recorder with me for I don't know how many months, close to 6 months. And, whenever I felt a good one coming on, and believe me, I can do some beauties. You can hear them in the song, as a matter of fact.
Nice. So that's not AI or nothing. Or
No. I didn't pop them off any like sound effects albums or anything like that, or off the internet. Those were me, Red
I
Peters.
wonder why I was getting like the little bit coming up in the back of my throat every time I heard
Yeah, I know it. Well, anyway, so I wasn't the most popular person. Let me just say that. My significant other, I'd be in the kitchen preparing dinner or whatever, and I'd feel a beauty coming on, and I'd, let it rip. And
They didn't respect your dedication to the art. Huh?
yeah, I'd hear from the other room, I heard that. I go, no, I'm working on a new song. So I must have recorded like maybe a couple of hundred beauties. Some of them were duds. And I got it down to about 100 that I was going to bring my producer, Eddie Granger. And And the night before I went to the studio for us to review them, I only brought 47 with me. So we listened to them all and picked out some beauties, and they're in the song. But I'll tell you, the biggest challenge was writing the actual song itself, because if all you have is the phrase "the fart that ruined Christmas," what does that mean? What is the story? You know. So I knew I had to come up with like a story for it. So I wrote longhand, and I think the first version I had was about 8 minutes, which of course is way too long. But I had a lot of detail, sitting by the fireplace and this and that. But I had to keep reducing it and reducing it and reducing it. And I finally got it down to the story to 4 minutes and 5 seconds. And even that's a little bit long, but the story, I think, holds up for the whole time. And, it's to summarize, it's a story of allegedly my son and daughter coming to visit at Christmas with their families. And we had a big feast. We ate and ate and ate. And, and I was really excited about seeing my grandson, my new grandson, little Bobby. So when I met him, he just cried hysterically and tried to hide from me. This is the story. So then I sat eating like a bastard, right? And then every time I'd see him, he would just be crying hysterically. So we did not get along. Anyway, everyone goes to bed the next morning. We have a big breakfast. I had Mom made me a broccoli, cheese, onion, pepper, and broccoli omelet. I ate that, and then my stomach was so full. I had to let out my belt a little bit, And as we were opening presents, that's when it happens. I guess I had eaten so much food that it finally had to release. And just as I was reaching for my gift, my little granddaughter said, "Here you go, Grampy." And I was reaching and reaching, and then next thing you know, brutal fight.
And that was quite a combo for an omelet right there too.
Yeah. That was fuel for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were shocked and horrified and stampeded from the room, and it was really turned out to be the fart that ruined Christmas. But I won't spoil the ending. It does have a happy ending.
Yeah, I noticed that. It does
turn
around.
It turns around, and it turns into a heartwarming story, so
heartwarming and fartwarming story.
Yeah. So it came out pretty good. A lot of work, though. It took me months to get it right. But
a lot of record. Good thing, you didn't, have stage fright, when it came to recording those farts too,
Oh, no. It was just me, myself, and I. So I had no issue with it, But, it's.
No, I'm talking about the asshole you were working with, though,
Yeah, it was my own. So, I can't complain.
Nice. And then, so obviously, there's been like a tradition here kind of coming around with the holiday songs. What do you have? What do you have in the work? I mean, you've done so much since almost becoming a priest to today. What's next on the radar for Red Peters after we get through the holidays?
Well,
and the air clears literally from the fart.
I think. Well, I know I'm going to come out with Red Peters' greatest hits on vinyl, probably sometime after the the first of the year. I'm not sure whether it'll be spring or whatever, but it will include the fart that ruined Christmas. And so we have that going on. And depending on the reaction from my fans and from the public from my new song, because this one sort of a family affair. You know, a lot of my relatives are on it. As a matter of fact, my mother, who passed like 15 years ago, I had recorded her a bunch of times, and even I farted in her presence, and she would like exclaim, "Oh, that's not very nice. Oh, you should. Oh, you're insane. You're insane." You know, she'd say things like this. So at 2 minutes and 22 seconds in the song, uh, she at the point where I fart and everyone stampedes from the room, she says, "No, that wasn't very nice." You know, I've got her in there. So between my nephews and nieces and their kids, it turned into a family affair. That's why I say Red Peters and family. But you know, if things go over well, I do have like 6 or 7 new songs that I'd like to record, and we'll just see how it goes. You know, I mean, I'm getting on in my years, but not that that's going to stop me or slow me down. But we'll see how it goes. But I'd really like to record a few more songs because I think the people would really enjoy them. You know.
Nice, nice. And then for anybody out there in the audience that might be new to hearing about Red Peters and wants to follow, you know, your adventures or check out some of your previous work, where would you send them?
I would send them first to redpeters.com, but if they want to hear some of my tunes, like Blow Me or How's Your Whole Family or Ballad of a Dog Named Stains, well, When I Jerk Off, I Think of You, and a bunch of other songs, you can go to Spotify, most streaming services, Apple, Google, Amazon, Tidal, pretty much every streaming service. You know, I mean, I just finished writing this song and producing it a little over a month ago. So I really didn't have much time to roll out the song, you know. So really, I got it to go streaming everywhere. So hopefully people could enjoy it in those locations, including The Fart That Ruined Christmas is also there. So I'd send them there, redpeters.com or wherever you stream music. And let's just see how the new year goes. And maybe I'll be coughing out of, you know, on a bunch of new songs too. We'll just have to see.
Well, I know that I'm already inspired because I know, you know, like my girlfriend's really expecting something special and romantic, you know, for Christmas from me this year. So I think I'm going to have to dip in the jar and maybe play for When I Jerk Off, I Think About You or something. You know,
Oh yeah, it's a love song, you know.
Yeah, I think that'll win.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny too. I love that song. It's one of my favorites.
Nice, nice. Well, Mr. Peters, I really appreciate your time. It was really good having you on. I'm glad we were able to have this conversation, and definitely encourage people to check you out. Check it out on Spotify. Add that to the Christmas playlist. Who wants to hear Mariah Carey?
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, you could hear "Holy Shit, It's Christmas," or "You Ain't Getting Shit for Christmas," or "The Fart That Ruined Christmas." There's a few other ones too. The you know, Christmas Gift and Have a Wonderful Hawaiian Christmas, which, by the way, I've had my life threatened if I ever go to Hawaii. The native population there wants to fucking kill me or beat the shit out of me. So for that song, it's just a goofy song, but I guess
not even Todd Rundgren could put in a good word for you over there, huh?
No. So, but hey, Billy, I just wanted to say something. I watched a bunch of your shows, to learn what you do in the whole bit. And I think it's wonderful what you're doing to support the veterans on your show. I like I say, I watched a bunch of shows. I think you're doing a great thing over there. So keep up the good work, brother. Keep up the good work.
Well, then let me ask you, the question I normally ask a lot of the guests I have on here before we wrap up. Then, any message that you have for our military members currently serving overseas?
Yeah, boys and girls, will lighten up and enjoy the fart that ruined Christmas, or holy shit, it's Christmas. But most of all, please be safe. Come home, and we love you and support you. So give it all you got.
Thank you so much for your time, Red, and thank you for that compliment. I appreciate that. It means a lot. Sometimes get in my own head because today, like as you mentioned, Spotify, we live in this world where we need more clicks and streams and blah, blah, blah to almost validate what we're trying to do. But it means more to me to have somebody like of your stature give me a compliment like that.
Yeah,
So I really appreciate it.
Redemption is a beautiful thing, and I support you, and I think you're doing a great job. So Merry Christmas to you and your listeners or viewers. And thank you very much for having me on your show.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Merry Christmas to you and your family as well.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
All right! Listen up! Hold on to your seats. Grab your girls, grab your beers.
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so one Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland